Welcome to Finding Zen with Michael Pottern, where everyday moments become sacred. I'm your host, Michael Pottern. Together, we explore how presence shows up in people's lives and the quiet gifts they reveal themselves to be when we truly pay attention. So take a breath, settle in, and let's hear what presence has to say.
Hi, I'm Erin Weed. Today we're going to talk about finding your most authentic self and distilling it down to just one word.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Finding Zen with Michael Pottern. Today, I have the privilege of a very dear friend, Erin Weed, joining us. So let's get curious and see what presence has to say. Hi, Erin.
Hello, Michael.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
So usually I have people kind of introduce themselves, but I think you deserve a little bit more of a introduction just because you've been a friend for a while and you are just such a badass that this feels exciting. So Erin Weed is a woman who learned at the age of 20 years old that the world can shatter in an instant and choose to build something from this wreckage. She is part archaeologist, part truth teller, and part midwife for human identity. She has spent 25 years helping people stop performing a version of themselves and start being themselves. Her Midwestern warmth and New Yorker directness make her simultaneously disarming and precise. She helps people find the single word that unlocks their entire life. Through a process called the dig, she excavates a person's history, values, and patterns to uncover a one-word operating system, a lens through which the world and a life's lesson can be heard and also integrated. It's less about being a brand and more about remembering who you already are. So let's start with just kind of where, I think, this part of your public facing story began, and that's with Girls Fight Back. And we'll just spend a little bit of time there just to give a basis of, I think, really this part of your journey to explore how do we support ourselves externally, but then realizing it's actually the internal parts that really create the structure and the foundation.
Yeah. Well, I've always loved people and I've always loved people's stories. And so when I graduated from college, I wanted to work in PR or something in the comm space. And so I had a few different jobs, but one of my first real jobs was working at a children's hospital and working with doctors to talk about breakthrough different medical discoveries and things like that. And then I was so attracted to when the news crews would come to the children. So I love people. I love stories. I love getting the truth of people and their stories out to the world for the greater good. That has always been a driver. And so I worked at a children's hospital doing public affairs and public relations to tell the stories of the medical breakthroughs. Then I wanted to go on the other side of the camera. So I started producing documentaries and dabbling in reality TV production,
All the good stuff,
which is a good time. And but really the soul of it was just getting to the truth of people and sharing it with the world. And it was only about a year into my History Channel job producing a documentary about the Grand Canyon, which was lacking some like personal connection for me, but it was cool to be working at such a reputable, documentary house. But it was only about a year into that I got the news that one of my best friends from college, named Shannon McNamara, had been murdered while fighting off an attacker in her apartment. And this was just one of those, I kind of call it a matrix moment where it's like you start to see that you weren't living in total reality because there was this terrible violence in the world. And it happened at our college, which was what most people would say a safe place, in the middle of a cornfield in central Illinois. And it just kind of opened up my eyes to the fact that there is this violence and this is something women are dealing with. And that led me to start a company called Girls Fight Back, which was all about basically women's safety and self-defense education at high schools and colleges across the world. And I built that with the blessing of Shannon's family. They were kind of my board of directors was the McNamara family. And we built a company and a message and a mission that we felt Shannon would be aligned with. And one of the things that I learned from that is that when you get to your purpose and you get the infusion of your why, like so in your soul, that anything you build from that place, it can only be successful. It can only be fulfilling. And so that's how it all started. And I just wanted to teach as many women as possible so that they maybe didn't have to face the same situation that Shannon did.
Wow, that's such a great segue into what I know is then the next chapter. But I hadn't heard it in that way of, just being so connected to your core of
Mm-hmm.
that purpose for you in that time. Because I knew it was something that you did, obviously, in reaction to create support and to create change, but also, identifying that for yourself and what that meant for you to actually be vigilant in that way and an ally to those who are closest to you.
Yeah, well, for me, it was about authenticity. And one of the things I was learning as I started Girls Fight Back was that so many young women are, and older women too, are tailoring their whole life to avoid violence. We are tailoring the relationships we're in. We're tailoring the trips we take and the places we go and the times that we go and how we dress. And it's just a total violation to me that women can't just go out and just live their lives in an authentic way. And that was really at the core of my whole work. And I didn't even know it at the time that this was so about authenticity. I was like, okay, am I doing this to like avenge her murder? Am I doing this because I'm
Hmm.
angry? Am I doing this because I just want to change the world? Like, is there any ego in this? Like, I did so much introspection about the why. And what I landed on was I want every woman to go out there and lead her most badass, empowering, authentic life that she can.
Mm.
And knowing how to be safe in the world, and in the worst case scenario, knowing how to respond and react to an act of violence, it allows you to make real, authentic choices because you're not making decisions stemming from fear anymore.
No, that is just such I think, a compliment to this palette that you have for also helping people find that authenticity inside of them. Just be able to sift through that experience for yourself and to find that through line, and then to see where maybe this can be something that can help others.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start there, because when I first met you, just about 10 years ago now, you were in the midst of this beautiful process that I got to go through called the dig, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. So I learned a lot through the Girls Fight Back years about the power of one word. And for me, it was authentic. And when you can tap into that one word as a frequency that starts to guide your business, and it also guides your message, and it guides how you show up in the world in all those ways, then you just become just more fulfilled and more successful. And so um, after I sold Girls Fight Back in 2013, it's still going today. So proud of them, by the way. And I still mentor them and everything like that. So it's, I think, a real testimony to Shannon's life and her memory. But when I sold it, I was 36. I didn't sell it for the kind of money that I could be like, okay, I'm gonna just like be self-retired. That's not how that goes. In a lot of cases for people who are entrepreneurs, I needed to figure out my next thing. And so I was like, well, what would I be good at? And I was like, well, I've just spent about 13 years on stage speaking to pretty rowdy audiences because they were all seminars that we were
Yeah.
doing. And if you want to become a really good speaker, go on the road and speak at high schools for a year. You will be amazing because you will get stuff thrown at you. You will get heckled. It is a rough crowd, but you learn. And so I was like, well, maybe I can help people on TEDx stages. And so I started coaching for TEDx Boulder, totally volunteer. I'm still a volunteer there 12, 13 years later, and was working with these speakers, and they had all sorts of great content. They're academics and entrepreneurs and founders. And so they have so much content that they get overwhelmed.
Hmm.
They have so much good stuff that everything gets lost. And so I was like, what if, as they're talking and I'm like getting kind of their content download, I was like, what if I could just distill this down to one word for them? So like, what if they're like, one of my big clients is Ash Beckham, who gave a very viral TEDx talk called Coming Out of Your Closet. And she was talking about coming out of the LGBTQ closet, but what if there's a one word for that? And for her, as I took her through the whole dig process, we discovered amidst all of her stories, her word was freedom. She really just believes that everybody should be able to be free to be exactly who they are and love who they want to love. That's all it is. And so once we discovered that, we were able to write a TEDx talk that just captured that frequency, used the most simple, direct words possible, the most engaging stories possible to get other people that feeling of freedom.
Yeah. And is that word always something that people are excited about? Because I can imagine people are always wanting victory or confidence. But if we're really talking about what's that true pattern, what does that look like for people?
A lot of times people are not excited about it. And it's because they're triggered by it. It's because your word is the thing you need to learn and the thing you need to teach. It's the thing you're the best at in the world and the thing that you suck at the most. It is the source of the most joy and the most struggle. It's two sides of the same coin. And so a lot of people get their word and they're like, hard pass, no thanks. And it's just like, well, your word is just your word. It's not like a choosing process, you know?
And that brings up this concept of integrity and authenticity to ourselves, and actually living from that place of what is our actual story, not the story that I want to present. I think right now we're obviously in a unique world where we're getting into places that people are really just trying to create what resonates with people versus what resonates from within, and I think that's going to start to be discerned more and more by the public. But with that, finding that word, it also sounds like that frequency, you're actually finding this true frequency. And when you have that, I'm curious, what do you work with professionals, executives, athletes, when they find that word, what happens for them?
Well, a lot of times they start seeing it everywhere. They start seeing it as being, oh, that's why I struggle with this, or oh, that's why I'm really good at this. And it'll just pop up in strange situations. Ideally, we really want to double down on the conscious awareness of that word and embrace it, lean into the struggle, and lean into the shine that it can provide you, and start simplifying things to be allowing it to shine through more.
And if we're living from a place of inauthenticity, then there's probably going to be some byproduct from that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, living inauthentically, I see it as being an unsustainable way to be. So I think anybody could be inauthentic for a period of time and you'll be all right. But over time, it will affect your mental health. It will affect your physical health. You will make just so many misaligned or micro misaligned choices that after a while you hate your own life and you hate your own business or whatever. So I look at it as just like, hey, if it's not true for you, don't even bother, because down the line, this is going to get you. Like, you're going to get body checked. And so let's just accept it. And like one of my superpowers is neutrality, of just like, hey, it is what it is. Let's just align with it.
Yeah. And I think that it's really important to note there that if you are looking to social media and seeing people that it looks like they're doing a good job at it, but what we're not seeing is what's going on underneath the hood is what I hear you pointing to. It's not like you're not going to survive. It's that you're not going to thrive because you're going to have these other components of you that are underneath the surface. That again, these are the meaningful things I think people often forget because they're just kind of in that go mode. So slowing down and having these conversations is really meaningful.
Yeah. Well, I feel like life is too short to just be walking around with that feeling all the time that something's off. And in fact, most of the people who come to me, they're usually very successful people. They're not struggling, they're just like, there's something more, there's something else. And it's kind of like, have you ever had that experience where maybe you're apartment shopping and you go into an apartment and you're just like, it's a full body yes. Like, this is my place. The vibes, the windows, all the things that are important to you, versus walking into an apartment that kind of smells weird and has strange carpet, and you're just kind of like, I guess I could be okay with that. I guess I could be okay with that. I guess, it's just like, I want everybody to have the first experience for everything they choose in their life, from their relationships to where they live and what they do and how they spend their time.
Is this like a resonance meter for you? Tell me a little bit how people can maybe actually engage with that.
Yeah. So the resonance meter is a tool that I use when I'm digging someone. And it's really just like, if you imagine a speedometer, there's 0 and there's 100. And if I was just to ask you a question, do you love the color purple? Do you see the speedometer? Where does it go? Is it 30? Is it 50? Is it 80? Is it 100? Like, it doesn't really matter. It's not like a good or a bad. It just is a self-awareness tool. So you can be like, where do I fall on this? Like true resonance, 100. That's I love this apartment. I can't wait to move in. Right. And 0 is like, oh my gosh, I would absolutely hate this existence. So it's like, we only have a certain amount of years to live. Don't we want to like be more in resonance with what's true for us? And can't we just trust that when we're at 100 more often, or we're up in even the upper 80s, we're only going to attract other things that are more resonant to us too. This is now probably in your area.
Well, in a couple different ways, of
Yeah.
course, dealing with frequency, which Einstein and Tesla said is the medicine of the future. And I think we're talking about these very subtle things that are truly what they were pointing to, is how are we truly aligned with the quantum side of all of this. And that's really beautiful. And also what is really striking for me right now is, my word was presence after going through the dig, and really noticing how, at that time I was still in the midst of real estate and leaving that side of my life, and also getting into wellness and really finding the things that were truly resonant for me, and how much now my life does feel like walking on clouds, because every step is just like, oh, of course that's going to happen. Of course, this friendship, this partnership, this opportunity is going to happen.
Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from aligning deeper. At Denver Zen Den, we help you reconnect with your natural frequency, the part of you that already knows what's true. Less noise, more presence. Come back to yourself in just 30 minutes. Okay, let's return to the conversation with Erin.
I think that your tools are really some of the most powerful, yet really simple, and I think that's kind of the wizardry of it. One of my other favorite ones is the head, heart, core, specifically because I think it really just shows where often we think we know what we're wanting or where we're coming from. And now that we have a foundation of what that word might be, or what that even is for people, let's just explore that tool.
Yeah. So head, heart, core is based on my theory that all of us have 3 truths all the time about everything. And so there's a factual truth, which is in your head. This would be my age, if I have a pet, where I live. These are just factual truths. Your emotional truth is in your heart, and that is just your feelings. And those are constantly moving and somewhat unpredictable, but they're your truth still. They're your emotional truth. And then you have the core, which is in your gut here. This is like what you want. This is your desire-based truth. So when you put all 3 together, you get this full, understandable, clear truth all in one. And so this can be used in a lot of different ways. You can, first of all, I think sometimes when we have big decisions to make, like, should I accept this job offer? Right? And you can head hardcore it. You can be like, okay, the facts are the salary is this. I would have to work in office this many days, and here is the benefits package, and all that stuff. Then the heart, what do I feel about this job opportunity? And that could go any different way, right? And sometimes it's both. That's the beautiful complexity of being human. And then what do I want? And when you stack on those 3, usually at the end, you have some kind of answer. Or at least becomes clear what the truth is. Now, it's up to us at that point if we want to align with it. And I never shame people if you don't. But I will say it's unsustainable.
Well, and what I love is that I also have learned to use that as actually a tool for connection with others.
Mhm.
And so am I really coming from my core in this response?
Mhm.
Because if I'm coming from that place, somebody can feel me. They
Mhm.
can't see what's going on in my head. Maybe they can feel my heart, but that's not as always what's needed in the moment, but they can feel where I'm coming from. That's where I'm like, okay, why am I talking? That's a
Yeah.
really special insight.
Yeah, and everybody's got their one comfortable place. Like I work a lot in tech companies, and so a lot of them tend to be more head people. That's okay. But it's just a challenge to expand into the other two, because if you do all three, they're going to understand you, or at least you're going to present yourself in such a way that other people will be able to hear you. And this was another tool that I originally developed for TED speakers that later on it became obvious it has very wide applicability.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into some ways that people will have an opportunity to learn more about your dig. But I do want to just share, because I think it's important that this is really a tool that helps us remember, and that it's not just discovering ourselves. It's actually, going back to what we already know. And that's the part that I think really is evoked versus some other practices and modalities where it's just this more ambiguous kind of searching. And I find that this really is based in the patterns of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is like, whoa. I mean, it's almost, another glitch in the matrix where you're like, oh, wow. Okay, so if I just have to start watching out for this, that's my only thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, it's, both your blessing, and it's the thing that you need to tend to the most.
Absolutely.
So being present with you guys is my number one goal. So thank you for being here today. But now let's get into, I think, what's ahead, because, I've seen over the years you kind of expand in different directions, but it's always, I think, been curious for you to get this into the hands of more people.
Yeah.
So that's about to happen after a lot of work.
It is. Yeah. So my book is coming out, and it's all about the dig process. It's called Just One Word, since that is the outcome,
Huzzah.
because we want to get everybody to that one word and figure out what that is. And, but yeah, it's been years in the making. A lot of serendipity has gone into it, and a lot of hard work has gone into it. And what I'm most excited about is there are 65 stories of people that I've worked with over the years. And like, again, looping back to what we talked about in the very beginning, like I just love amplifying people's stories and amplifying good people. And, but yeah, it's been a labor of love, and it's going to be exciting to see it come out.
Well, you're trying to translate a very intimate process that's usually done one-to-one or one to several, small groups. How do you feel that this is going to make that jump into the readers and being able to be accessible in that way?
Yeah, I mean, chapter by chapter, I take people through the process to essentially dig yourself. So, because you're right, for many years I've been digging an individual. I have dug groups. I have taught workshops so that people are kind of working with each other to go through the process. This is the first time that people are actually going to self-apply this information. And I'm going to be creating a lot of cool support materials as well as we're putting on a one-day summit where I'm going to talk people through just the whole process, because I know how hard it can be. It's like we got families and jobs and complications of life, and just I want to make it as easy as humanly possible for people to get their one word.
Well, and what a beautiful structure, especially for people that I think are wanting to journal and to kind of start doing some of that excavation, but don't really know where to go, versus just kind of reiterating all the things in the head each day, or just, kind of complaining about things, or whatever their tendency and patterning might be. This, I think, will provide a really good structure.
Absolutely. And I love what you said earlier about, it's like there's nothing to discover here. Yeah. It's to remember. And the whole process is about telling your whole life story and finding the patterns that repeat. Mm-hmm. So it's like, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad. At this point in my career, I feel like I have heard most things, so it's very hard to shock me at this point, but it's not even about the content anymore. It's about the frequency that lives within the content
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out what it is, naming it, and figuring out the ones that repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and something that I think I'd love to just get into as we wind down the conversation is that, we work with grief a lot at the Zen Den, and I think, starting to come to terms with end of life is something that so many baby boomers are going to be coming up against, and even the kids of those baby boomers are going to be helping support them. This is going to be a very interesting time, but the work that you've done, you've been doing this for so long, but you still, to continue to come back to that word and to come live that life is tough. And I know back in 2017, you had another friend, Ruthie, that I think her story would be meaningful just because both she found her word and how that supported her in that, in that transition, and to do it the right way for her and for the people who loved her, as well as reminding people that we're all going to screw up and we're all going to get off basis because we're not perfect. And I think we need to stop thinking that we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Ruthie. One thing I'll say about even writing the book, but it's just been a path in my life. Like, I've lost a lot of people, like in a deathy way, very young. And so it's been an interesting theme to look at. And Ruthie was one of them. She was also a sorority sister of mine and Shannon's. And she was going through cancer, and I organized a celebration of life for her, and all these people came from all over the place. And I remember the night before her celebration of life, me and Ruthie and our other friend Susan, we were all in her hotel room, and I remember just out of nowhere, just kind of getting this like idea to ask her. I was like, "Would you want to do the dig?" And she was like, "Yes, I want to know my word." And so myself and Susan, we basically just like interviewed her. And it was so beautiful because she told a bunch of like specific stories, but these frequencies were rising out of the conversation. And we saw it just so clearly. And she was all about love, but the way she loved people, that's what her dig word was. And her dig word was see. She loved people by seeing them. And the fact that we were having this celebration of life while she's still alive, it all clicked into place for me. I was like, of course she would want this, because everyone was going to get to see her one last time. And a few weeks later, she was gone.
Yeah.
And, but for her, like, one of the last voice notes she ever sent me was just saying, "Thank you for that word." And I think it can sometimes be that simple to come back home to ourselves with one word and remembering that.
That to me is what a gift, and what a treasured way of connecting and sharing love and support and just witnessing, because it's not always about solving. It's about just saying, "Hey, I'm here. That's all I can do right now."
Yeah.
That does lead me into just this final topic that we touched on briefly, just with, where we're going with technology, with AI, with personas, and all this. Just because I think it's important for us to say, yes, we lean in, but also, what do I need to be analyzing as I lean in? And I love that, speaking of, personal messages, I've been using the AI music to send people notes as they're going through things that are embedded in the songs. And, what a fun way to play with these things. And it's not meant to be a whole, music soundtrack that's going to, hit the top 100, but it's meant to be something personal that just is, wow, you put time and effort into something.
Yeah.
But I also see a lot of people just trying to almost figure out themselves through the lens of the reflection. So I'm just curious what you're seeing right now with all this new technology and AI.
Yeah. Well, I'm the furthest thing from an AI expert, and I have a lot more questions than answers. I think what I'm feeling very intrigued about at this moment is just the collective craving for knowing what's real, and seeing the collective struggle of knowing that's going to become harder and harder to do. And I think there's a grief in that. Like, have you ever watched like a cute animal video
Mhm.
and then you figure out that it was AI?
Mhm.
You're like, damn it. Like, I was so enrolled and that actually happening. And then it's almost like, then a guard goes up. Like, so I think, as most things, AI could be amplifying authenticity in some ways. I also think it can be cloaking it.
Mhm.
And we're going to have to become stewards of this technology. And that's going to be a journey.
Yes, it definitely is. And I'm excited to know that the more that we empower people to know how to communicate from truth and from that authentic voice, that is the world I think we're hopefully going to turn into, is that we're not even trying to do all the social media stuff just so I can get my business out there, that we're just really going to figure out new ways, new systems that we all get to participate and just show up and give what is truly our best.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many ways to do business, to do speaking, to do all the things that people come to me for coaching for. And like I personally, I don't ever create anything with AI. I have no judgment about it for other people, but for me, I want every word that people see from me in my book and otherwise, like, to be from me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think there's like a calm in that when you feel it, but I think everybody's going to kind of come to their own criteria of what's true for them. And that's what being human's all about.
Yep. Well, I want to be in Hogwarts.
Great. I could see you totally running that place, actually.
Well, thank you so much, Erin. And when is Just One Word coming out?
May 19th, 2026, but it's available now for pre-order.
All right. So. Well, go on to your favorite bookstore place and get the things. And thank you, Erin. This has been such a pleasure. And thank you, everybody. Continue to move a little slower, listen a little deeper, and keep finding the Zen in every day. Thank you for being here today. If our conversation opened something new for you, a little presence, a little wonder, share it with someone who might need it. Until next time, move a little slower, listen a little deeper, and keep finding the Zen in your own life.